Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Jasiri Network's podcast show, whatever you want to call it. My name is Nancy Masila, and I'm the CEO and founder of Jasiri Network. And today I'm joined by a dear friend, a Jasiri Network community member, and somebody who's quite has an interesting story and has an interesting organization that Jasiri Network is proud to be part of. Without a further ado, I'll let Peter, who's our guest, introduce himself and then we'll go into the meat of things. Hi, Peter. Welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself.
Awesome. Hi, Nancy, and thank you for having me. I am Peter Kwame Mokio, and I'm the co-founder and director for Hatua Network organization, an NGO that works to lift youth out of poverty and rebuild in Mombasa.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Peter. And we'll kind of just get into how Peter and Hatua Network are going to be part of like Jasiri Network's journey, more so to do with like the Nairobi Summit that's going to be held in Nairobi on the 20th and 21st of December. As part of the summit, I just didn't want us to have this big, amazing event and then call it a day. I also wanted the summit to be long term and sustainable and kind of also in the process give back to the community. Hence why I thought it was really important to partner with a charity organization and see kind of what are the ways we can support and give back to the community. And more so, with the Kenyan community. Hence why Peter and Hatua Network are kind of like on board. And we're going to delve into the conversation about kind of like what Hatua Network does and also why it's important for everybody, to kind of commit, champion, and also kind of support some of these amazing initiatives. And more so with Jasiri Network, how the diaspora, how the African diaspora can be part of this transformational organizations, transformational charities, in terms of giving back through various ways. So we are going to be discussing kind of like how Hatua Network, based out of Mombasa, has dedicated to transforming the lives of underprivileged Kenyan youth through education, mentorship, and career guidance. And you'll kind of just also see how it's what they're doing is not even a one-off thing. It's they're taking the it's a journey with the youth. They're taking them through high school, through uni, and also just supporting them through their earlier days in their career, which, we'll discuss further and kind of like how explore Hatua Network's mission and impact across communities in Kenya. And, specifically also for this particular conversation, we're going to touch on how diaspora networks, like Jasiri Network, can support charities, bridging global connections to empower youth back home, discover the challenges of Hatua Network, and also just see what's next for them. And as I mentioned, for this particular summit, we wanted to give back to the community. And I genuinely feel like for all other summits, for conferences that take part in Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, and even just across borders outside of Kenya, I feel like it's part of their it should be. I think it should be part of their strategy or part of their, overall strategy to support these communities, because you don't just do one big event and then call it a day. What about the community that that actually are in those local countries, in those local cities? Giving back is the way to go, because it's more impactful. It's long term. It's for the good of everybody. It's good for business, because these young kids we are supporting, they're the future customers, they're the future employees, they're the future leaders. That's why I really, really strongly believe in what Hatua Network is doing. But anyway, enough of that. We're going to discuss a little bit about like the background and mission of Hatua Network and hear from Peter. So Peter, could you tell us a little bit about Hatua Charity's story and what inspired its founding? And it's in Mombasa, which is very different, right?
Yeah, yeah. I have to admit that you've done a really good job introducing the organization.
I
It's
try.
like, yeah, I was like, is she part of us? But now, yeah, you are.
Yes.
So, yeah, background of Hatua. Hatua started way back in 2006. And It's always good to like look back because the stories always motivates me and give reasons why I'm still doing what I'm doing. So way back in 2006, my co-founder, by then a student, Gabriel Fundil, and I were paired to do a research at one of our busiest marketplaces in Likoni, that is across the ferry.
Yes.
And
And where is Likoni? For those people that might not know.
so Likoni is south of Mombasa.
Yes.
So from the Mombasa Island, you cross the ferry, you get into Likoni. So
Mm-hmm.
immediately you cross the ferry, that busy, marketplace. That's where we did our research with the vendors. And the research was actually based for us to understand how government policies are affecting street vendors and dynamics between street vendors association. But being that I'm born and raised in Likoni, I got so much insights and understanding on the challenges that my community members are facing. Of those vendors that we had interviewed, most of them had kids who were supposed to be in school but were not in
Mm-hmm.
school. And I can remember they clearly shared one of our, biggest fears that was across all these vendors was that their kids will end up, picking up the small businesses that they themselves picked from their parents. So their fear was that their kids will get trapped in this cycle of poverty. But they also had a common hope, which was if their kids would get access to a learning institution, get an education, and then they can live a different life from the life that they're living. So that is where we felt like, so we can do something to turn this around. So we started with 7 families,
Mm-hmm.
7 kids from the 7 families that we'd interviewed, and we took one kid from each family, took them to school. Had no idea that I'm setting up myself to run a charity or an organization this big. I was
Yeah.
like, we'll keep these kids in school and then we'll see what happens. Because I was young by then, I was still in college and didn't have any kids, and I was like, okay, taking up this huge responsibility. But it was just that burning desire to see change and that
Mm-hmm.
commitment. A problem has been presented to you, and you feel like I have the information and I know how I can solve it. I can try to solve it. That was the attitude, and we went for it. So through family and friends, we were able to raise 57,000 Kenya shillings,
Oh,
and
that's really lovely. That's really nice. And you like
yeah,
that's from you and from your friends. So they really believed in what you are doing.
yeah, and that was the foundation. I can say money that set us off. Because with that amount
Mm-hmm.
of money, we were able to pay fees for the 7 kids, buy their school
Yeah.
uniform and a few books and a pair of
Yeah.
shoes, and they were off to school. And I was like, okay, that's it. So they're off to school. I'll mind
Yes.
my business, do my stuff, and then see what come at the end of the year, see how they're progressing, and see how we can support them. But
And was this in primary school, high school, university
so
that you're sending them off to?
we had out of the 7, one was in secondary and
Okay.
6 were in primary.
Okay.
And these ones were purely based on the relationship that we had with the families of the
Yeah.
vendors, and the need we saw, and the desire for us to support them. Uh, so that's how we kicked off our scholarship program. But later into a few months, we started realizing that they're not consistently going to school, and we
Mm.
felt there is need for us to get to understand why and support them. So we started meeting, by the beach every Sunday to discuss the challenges that are keeping them out of school and how we can support them. So it was basically sitting in a circle and finding solutions within ourselves. Little did we know that we're setting up our mentoring program,
Mm.
addressing challenges that youth have faced that are
Yeah.
hindering them from progressing in their education.
Yeah.
So that is like the foundation steps of our organization. From the
Yeah.
research, got to see, the key challenges, and then,
Mm.
finding the solution and how best we can support our students. So today, fast forward, we have over 1,000 students in our program, and
Wow.
we provide
All
scholarship.
from Mombasa, Likoni, or from different areas.
Yes. So over years, we've grown.
Mm-hmm.
We started in Likoni,
Mm-hmm.
operated in Likoni for around 7 years before
Wow.
moving into Mvita,
Mm-hmm.
because we are targeting the slums in Chuda, Moroto slums. So
Okay.
we moved into Mvita, and then there are also like poor communities in Mvita. But we are
Mm-hmm.
looking at having a central office where we can serve all other parts of Mombasa. That is
Yes.
Changamwe, Kisauni
Yes.
as well. So that
Yes.
was ideal for us to position ourselves at Vita. So we've expanded since then. We've
Mm,
expanded and we are now operating across Mombasa as a whole. We're
yeah.
serving the entire population in Mombasa.
Well, that's really amazing. And just starting out, you're in college, you're just doing this research, and then you raise 57,000 Kenya shillings.
Yeah.
You're kind of figuring out this as you go. And now, how many years later has it been?
So 18 years down
Wow.
the line now,
Wow.
and we've grown organically,
Yes.
trying to address the challenges that our
Mm,
students are facing as they
mm-hmm,
grow.
mm-hmm,
Because I remember at first, the following year after we started off,
mm-hmm,
we had, we got a cash prize of 350,000 Kenya shillings from my
mm,
co-founder who presented it in the US because she's an
yes.
international student who was
Yeah.
studying in Kenya. So out of that money, we were able to identify 10 additional students that
Mm,
we, are supporting. And by this time, we're like, okay, now we need to structure it. So we went to public primary schools,
mm,
identify students who had challenges paying their fees, or we
yeah.
could tell from the look of
Yeah.
how they are dressed. We
Yeah.
didn't have like a proper structure on how to apply for the scholarship program. So
Yeah.
identified 10 students and brought them on board. And the following year, worked with a few corporates in Mombasa
Mm,
and had more individual donors committing to supporting us and added another 14 students. And that's how we've grown organically. So today we have 1,002 students in our program, including our alumni. And what we provide for them, apart from high school and university scholarship, we also do mentoring, which is very
yes.
key to the success.
Yeah, actually, that's what actually I was about to ask. Like, what are some of the core areas? Because apart from just raising funds, I'm hearing mentoring, I'm hearing
Yes.
follow-up. So, what are kind of like the core areas, generally that Hatua Network focuses on? And, in your aim to
Mm.
kind of just make a difference in the lives of these young people.
Yeah. So we have three core areas that we focus in. So the first one, as I've mentioned, is provision of high school and university scholarship. And then we have mentoring on 21st century soft skills that we do. And then we have also linkages on professional networks and opportunities. So it's a 10-year investment for every student that we identify because we identify them during, the moment they finish primary and they are joining high school. And we offer them 4 years of high school scholarship, 4 years or 5 years of university scholarship, and then 1 year of transitioning support into the workforce. But we couple all these years with mentoring that focuses on character development while they're in high school, and then leadership development during the gap year, and professional development during their university years.
Wow.
So, key to our success, I can say we're not just a scholarship program, but the
Mm,
layering on the mentoring program has made a huge success in our impact because we've seen our students ending up with soft skills that make them eligible or make them have an edge when they get into the workforce. And I can say that our university mentorship program, the way it's designed, it's very critical for the success of our students because we
yeah.
pair each of our university students with a professional mentor in the same field that they're
That's
pursuing.
really fantastic.
Yeah, so
And
these
it's
are
I
year
think it's
twos and
very
above.
different as well. Like it's very different from other charities where it's just focusing on getting the funds, and maybe taking the kids through either, high school or university. But this one is long-term commitment. You're pairing
Yeah.
them with mentorship. Like you're following their whole story. And it's easy for some of these kids to fall through, right? Some of the background that they come from, it's quite challenging.
Mm.
And so I know you're saying like you're really proud about this mentorship initiative that you have, but what would you say has been the biggest success and also the biggest challenge that you faced over this 18 years, which is this is amazing. 18 years running. A lot of charities are not able to get through as many years as you have. So what kind of like are the biggest successes and the biggest challenges so far?
Yeah. So to get to the success, I can say it's a 10-year investment that we put
Mhm.
on these kids.
Mm.
Time and resources and everything. The same way you put resources to your kids to support them, to see them excel.
Yeah.
And with that 10 year of investment, we've come to see, biggest success that we have right now is that 94% of our alumni are working within a year of graduating. So
Wow. That's
within 1 year of
amazing.
graduating, 94% of our alumni are working. And they're earning 4.5 times their family income combined.
Wow. So you're not just
So
changing their lives, you're changing the lives of their families.
yes, yes,
Wow.
yes. This is just a huge transformation for us
Mm-hmm.
because where we identify them
Mm-hmm.
and looking at the families where they came from,
Mm-hmm.
and the time they graduate, they get employment, they start earning, the difference
Mm-hmm.
is just huge. And it's
Mm-hmm.
very impressive. It warms my heart every time, I meet our alumni, they're those who are lawyers, doctors, and
Yeah.
it just feels so good.
Wow.
And apart from that, collectively, we have 223 alumni. Collectively, they're
Mm-hmm.
supporting an additional 300 plus students. These
Wow.
are either siblings, nieces,
Mm-hmm.
nephews, or neighbors that they feel like, they need their support. And
Mm-hmm.
that warms my heart even more because it's the ripple effect of supporting one person and then to
Mm-hmm.
go on and support the other person.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations, Peter. I think you
Thank
guys are
you.
doing an
Thank you.
incredible job, you know?
Yeah,
You should
I
be
love
proud.
it. I love it.
And what have been the challenges then? Because I think the good, comes also with the not so good. Which are
Yeah.
the challenges, you know?
So I can say challenges, as I've mentioned in the past, of the way we've designed our program, it focuses on the depth of impact. It's 10-year
Mm,
investment for every kid. And I can say the biggest challenge that we've had is, fundraising cutters across, like all charities, constant, it's a constant problem. They're always looking for funding. But for us, you can say it's been a challenge because most donors are looking for organizations that have a quick scale,
mm,
that they either scale in numbers or scale in regional reach. And for us, our scale in terms of regional reach has been very limited because for our mentoring program, we have to bring in our kids every school holiday to administer our mentoring program. And then the depth of our impact has been, it's quite expensive looking at the cost per student. But looking at the return of investments, it's 20 times on their lifetime, which is also a huge return on investment.
wow.
So I can say our biggest challenge has been that convincing
Mm,
donors to support us. But we've gotten along very well. 18 years, we've grown our funding
yeah.
pipeline, and we've had, quite a number of students that we've supported 1,000 plus. Another challenge is, the need is huge in our community.
Mm,
Uh, every year when we, make a call for application, we get around 2,000 applications, for those who need to get support for a scholarship. And we have to narrow it down to 100 every year. So, and those who qualify that we strongly feel need our support are always around 250. So every year we have around 150 students that we cannot support, and it feels bad. Sometimes we really try and push ourselves to like get an additional 5 or 10, and we really stretch our budget because we feel like they really need our support. But what we've been trying to do is also like recommend them to other organizations that are also providing scholarship for support. We've tried to work with the county government because they offer bursaries, and we'll send out a list of those qualifying students to them, and then they can prioritize them when they're doing the selection process.
yeah.
But the need is there. So what we're doing is just very little compared to the need that we see in the community. So that has been the biggest challenge, not being
Yeah.
able to, you know, meet the need that is out there.
Okay, very understandable. And I think that brings us to another very kind of important question in the charity space, which is like how are you ensuring that your initiatives, the different programs that you have, the fundraising, the mentorship, the career advice, like how are you making sure that they're effective and also sustainable? And for your case, it's a 10-year commitment to each child. So how are you making sure you're not dropping them, halfway through the program, or kind of like just making sure you have enough resources to take them through those 10 years?
Yeah, so we've put in place quite a number of uh, resources to make sure that we do not drop any student along the way. Our completion rate right now stands at 92,
Wow.
which is
Those
impressive
are
to
high
us.
numbers, Peter.
Yeah, high numbers, 92. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason why it's high is because we monitor our students' progress individually and at
Mm-hmm.
every school term. So we'll ask our students to, bring their report cards every school term. We'll evaluate their performance. We offer them with additional academic support during school holidays for those students who are, not performing so well, very well in specific subjects. And then that has given us the ability to track students on individual basis and not like push them on a blanket kind of support. So for any student who has behavioral issue, we have a team of counselors who will follow up with their issues and provide continuous counseling until that issue has been resolved. So that one-on-one kind of support has really helped us make sure that our students stay on course with our program. And then our mentoring program, the way it's designed, we now have a curriculum that we've developed. I think 3 years, the last 3 years is when we embarked on that project of developing a curriculum. It is this year in August when we launched it. And that has enabled us to, really track the progress of our mentoring program because every school year we layer on top of the previous topic that we've done. So they are on track and we evaluate their performance on the mentoring program. So we have 35 days in a year with them where we administer this mentoring program. So 10 days in the first school holiday, that is in April, and then another 10 days in August, and then 15 days during the November, December
Mm-hmm.
holiday. So we do assess them according to their performance and attendance and performance of their taking classes in the mentoring program, and that but by doing so we're able to evaluate their progress as they continue their mentoring program. So that has made it possible for us to sustain our programs going forward. And then for
Mm-hmm.
university students, we also very keen on their progress on an annual basis. So they do submit their transcript, we pay fees on an annual basis, on a semester basis, so that, we have that touch with them. It's not like we paid your fee, now go your way. Plus, we provide a lot of support. We give them upkeep, we give them accommodation, we pay for their accommodation, and also transport to and from school. So we are in touch with them constantly. And then we also have mentoring for university students, which is on the Moodle platform. So they do this on a monthly basis, and these are more like professional development. The classes that they take, they are more professional development. So we are able to track their attendance, and they are also being scored on the attendance. They get badges once they complete it. So we're able to track the effectiveness of our mentoring program as well. And then when
Wow.
they get to university, we
Mm-hmm.
also support them for a year uh, as they transit into the workforce to
Mm-hmm.
get to make sure that they settle in well. We liaise with our employer partners to get to see, what are the shortcomings that they have, and we support them even when they are already employed. And this has been, made it possible for us to maintain a good relationship with alumni. We have a convening with them once a year, but they also have their own convening where we participate. And yeah, they also join us as mentors once they get 3 years of experience. They come back as mentors and they're paired with the university students, and they also take part in our activities, be it career fairs, like the upcoming career fairs. We have a number of our mentors, alumni coming in to speak to our secondary students. So we maintain really good level of engagement to make sure that we do not lose track and our programs are effective
Yeah.
by evaluating at every stage, high
Yeah.
school, university, and alumni
Yeah, the
stage.
process is just, continuous. And
Yeah.
I like that. I like that you're able to kind of, it's not just about paying the school fees. It's not just about
Mhm.
one-off mentoring. It's ongoing, it's continuous, and you're really working with these kids and, knowing that they're coming from and underprivileged backgrounds, even when they're, joining the workforce. So I'm sure it's one of those things where they're not even sure how to handle themselves or how to
Yeah.
carry themselves in those
And the way I look
environments.
at it, sorry to cut you
Mhm.
short, but the way I look at it is like, what are the resources that I can give my kid to succeed? And
Yes.
that is what we give. Because if it's your
Oh,
own
that's
kid,
really
you will
good.
continuously, support them until they
Yeah,
become adults and they get into the workforce and they can fend for themselves. And
true.
then something that I didn't mention, the network, the community of our students is very healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like at university, when we have year ones or freshers joining university, our
Mm-hmm.
university students who are in those universities are the ones who will welcome them. So they
Wow.
know they already have a family there. They'll go
Yes.
there, they'll find someone who will show them, will give them a tour, will take them
Mhm.
through the administration process until they get settled in. And we
Yeah.
have chapters in each university that they do activities and they
Yes.
maintain that, healthy relationship.
Oh, that's really fantastic. I mean, you and I know how sometimes college or uni can be so challenging. You're
Hmm.
new, you don't have
Yeah,
friends, and you're trying to kind of find your way. And I think those first years are very formative and it just kind of form the trajectory of your life and the people and friends you maintain. Even thinking back to my uni, the friends I had from my first year of uni are still the same friends to this day.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they've really contributed to the kind of person I am. So that's really sweet to hear. And I get it now. Like that's why you've been able to run for 18 years. Because
yeah,
it's not just you, it's a whole community and ecosystem
yes,
that you've created.
yes.
Oh wow. That's really fantastic. Well, on to other questions, and I kind of like for this particular segment, I want us to discuss what this partnership means, because Jasiri Network and Hatua Network are partnering more so for this upcoming Nairobi Summit on the 20th and 21st December in Nairobi, but also for the foreseeable future, because again, like I said, it's not just a one-off thing, and like the way you're saying with the kids, it's a 10-year commitment. So even for Jasiri, we have to also come on board, not just for one-off event, but also to kind of assist and see where we can support through this journey. So kind of like, what are the value do you see in connecting with the diaspora networks like ourselves to support your initiatives? And also what can we, in the diaspora, what can we do as well to support these different initiatives?
I can say there are a lot of values in
Mm,
partnering with networks like Jasiri.
mm,
Uh, the one that comes top of mind, I feel like, yeah, as I've mentioned in the past, the need to have continuous funding has been a challenge for us. So getting into global networks like Jasiri Network, where just really network can point me to the right direction, can point me to corporates or like its members in the network. Maybe they are in corporates that are looking to do charity work, but they don't know who and where to do it. Having interaction with members in the Jasiri network can, give me that opportunity or like that potential of eventually getting to know people who can point us to the right direction or people who can support our cause and our work. So that is big. And apart from just funding itself, I feel like there are a lot of people who've been helped while growing up and they're always looking forward to pay it back, but they don't know how. And
mm.
this presents a good platform, good opportunity. I know like most of the people that I grew up, their fee was paid, by either, an uncle, an aunt, a relative,
Bursaries,
yeah, bursaries,
like
and
myself.
yeah, myself as well,
Yeah.
bursaries. There was actually a day we did, we were having an annual event, fundraiser, and the governor was there. By then it was Hassan Bureau. And we asked how many, were supported through their education journey. Like 90%, even the dignitaries that were there raised up their hands, So
Mm,
it's there. And that tour, partnering with Jashiri presents that opportunity for people who feel like, oh, it's time, maybe they've been feeling for a long time, I need to support, and they don't know how to do it. So this presents that platform.
yeah. And that's the good thing about this thing is there's a lot of people wanting to give back, myself included, and the charity and partnership just presents that opportunity. But
Yeah.
I also run, like I run half marathons and I raise funds through my running. And so there's nothing stopping me as well, continuing with my runs and also
Mm.
kind of raising funds for the Hatua Network. So it's really incredible. I love what you're doing. And like you said,
And
a lot of people in the diaspora also want to give back, but
yeah.
sometimes they're not too sure how to do it, or there
Mhm.
isn't a platform. And Hatua Network presents a structured organization, a structured way of doing it. You guys have been in the game for 18 years
Yeah.
and you're still continuing. And also sometimes with Mombasa, with the Kenyan coast, a lot of things can be swept under the rug because like when you think of Mombasa, when you think of like the coastal region, you just think of the beautiful beaches, the sunny
Mm.
weather, and
Yeah.
just having a great time at the beach, but not realizing that also certain areas or communities that are really in dire need.
Yeah.
And so when you're thinking of traveling back home and you're thinking of, doing all those different travels and with family, also give back a little bit, and, kind of like to go into these communities, to support these communities.
Right.
And yeah, I think at our network, you guys are doing a great job. I, and something else Peter didn't say is Peter also came to our Jasiri network socials, met our community members. What
Hmm.
what did you think about that? Like, how was your experience by there when you joined us?
It was a really awesome experience
Mm-hmm.
because being in the UK and looking for community of fellow Kenyans that you can interact and get to know your way around. I feel like that presented a huge platform for me to get to like really network and meet people who can guide.
Mm.
So it's a vibrant community. The people are warm, welcoming, ready to share. And out of that, I can say I've made, three good friends right now. And I believe I'll make more friends, but I'm
Yeah,
preaching to quite a number of people.
yeah,
And one thing that I didn't mention, there are those who other ways of supporting is not just funding, but you can
yes,
be a mentor. As far as
yes.
you are in the UK, you can still choose to mentor university students. Let's say a student who's pursuing computer science, and you're
Mm,
into computer science. You can agree to like have 4 calls in a year, and
mm,
just chat, get to hear where he is at or she is at. Give
mm,
advice, and that alone can make a huge, huge difference. So
yeah,
I was able to get friends who are willing, like, no, Kwame, why don't you pair me with, a student? I can mentor a
yes,
student from here. I am. If I cannot provide funding, but I can talk to them, I have experience, I can tell them what is required of them. Uh, and yeah, so it's been an amazing community and I'm loving it.
yes.
I
What you
can't
also
wait.
did say is you are new to the UK.
Yes.
How many months or how many years have you been in the UK? And how has the transition been like? Even as we discuss about the network and everything you're doing, but it's also been quite interesting,
Yeah.
your journey.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, oh my God, almost a year right now. So by 11th, I
Yes.
came last year on 12th of November. So
Ah,
7 days away to clock a year.
yes.
And as I'd mentioned, at first I came in and like I didn't have any networks here. I tried
Mm,
to reach out to like my old networks that I had. These are people who volunteered in a tour way back, I think in 2010, but it was taking time because they are far away. So we
yeah.
just talked, we never met. And then I heard of Jasiri Network through a friend and was
Mm,
like, wow, a platform of Kenyan professionals, like that's where I belong. I need to meet these people. So the very first event, I was like, yeah, let me go see how it is, get to learn,
mm,
get to meet the people. And it was very welcoming.
mm.
I think since I came in, apart from speaking Swahili with my wife, that was the only place I spoke a lot of Swahili,
Yeah.
which felt good, which felt good. It
Yeah.
actually felt like home.
It does, it does, and it's the same sentiments across other, African communities that join us. They always feel so at home. So it's always lovely to kind of hear people's feedback, at attendees. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I'm biased because I love just a network, right? And well, speaking about funding, maybe you could just break it down for us. what that means and what are the different figures and what it goes to do. Because you're giving me some really interesting statistics about what certain amounts can do for this young kids. And I know people are saying, or they might think like the funding is high, but it's actually there's some amounts that you're able to give, even as small as I mean, Peter, you can also break it down as small as how much is it, like 25 pounds or 50 pounds, and it
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
such a
yeah,
huge
yeah.
difference. But Peter, maybe you can just break it down for us, kind of like the different funding amounts
Mm,
that people can kind of contribute and what this means for the lives of these young people.
yeah. So people can contribute as much as they wish, as little as
Mm-hmm,
they wish,
mm-hmm,
and we're happy to receive any. Sorry, excuse me. Any level of amount because
yes.
it goes a long way in supporting our students. But the cost for providing scholarship at university level, including our mentoring program, we cap it at 800 USD.
Mm,
So that's for the whole year. And with
mm,
that, we ensure that the kid is at school, their tuition is paid, they have uniform, they have, boarding fee paid, they can have, 3 meals at school, all the school supplies are covered for. Plus, they can have, the mentoring classes as well. And that's why, yeah, 800 USD. And then for university, to provide university scholarship, accommodation, upkeep money, transport, and mentoring cost, it's 1,000 USD for a year. So looking at that, 1,000 USD right now is like 120,000 Kenya shillings for the year, and 800 it's maybe a little shy of 100K Kenya shillings. So that it covers, like for a whole year. But we're welcoming, like all sorts of donations. We've had individual donors who will say, I'll sponsor, a student, I'll sponsor two students, and they're committing to support those students for the period of their education. Let's say they pick them while they're in Form 1, they'll take them for 4 years of high school and 4 years or 5 years of university, depending on the courses that they do. And there are those, who come together and they say, we'll, do a collection of, let's say Nancy Masila and friends, and we'd like
mm,
to support 5 or 10 kids, and they'll do a collective, funding, and then they'll send that, and we pair them with those 10 students, and they'll be getting reports. So for every individual donor, they do get reports on the students that they're sponsoring.
yeah.
And we've also worked with quite a number of corporates in Mombasa. We have corporates that are funding us, and they do support us with unrestricted funding or like sponsorship of a cohort of students, and they take them through the education journey.
Mm,
Most of our funding though comes from international foundation. These
mm,
are foundations in the US, mostly in the US, a few in the UK, Switzerland, and these are foundations that will give us unrestricted money to run our programs. But that doesn't mean that we do not do any sort of reporting. We do have to make, proper reports, account for
yeah.
every
And these
shilling.
reports are available on your website for each
Yes,
and
they
every
are.
year. So
They
there's a
are.
lot of openness and transparency as well in the process. Somebody can go into your financials, see
Yes,
how the money is going. And they were
correct.
also kind of mentioning kind of like the percentage of administrative expenses that goes into the funding. Do you want to share a little bit about that? Because I thought that was really good. Because again, things about charities being sustainable, effective, and when you're making those donations, making sure that it's actually touching the lives of the people that you're donating for.
Yeah, we do keep track of all the monies that we do collect and how we spend them. We are audited by the Kenyan government, the NGO Coordination Board, so we're required to do audit reports at the end of every year, and those are available on our website, as Nancy have mentioned. And how we spend our money, we try and make sure that we cap our administrative costs not more than 11%. It's always been, below 11%. Most
Wow.
of it goes into programs, and
Mm-hmm.
scholarship being expensive, a huge percent, 60% will always go to scholarship, and then followed by mentoring. We
Mm.
do also have library programs. This is a side program, that's why I'm not talking much about it. So I
Yes.
do have a network of 11 libraries that we run in Mombasa.
That's not a small project, Peter. What do you mean we have a small project of 11 libraries? That's
Uh,
amazing.
yeah,
That's
it is.
really
It is.
amazing. Fun
It.
fact, I actually I did internship at a library when I was just
Oh,
I
awesome.
was yeah, I was like I was in third year or was it fourth, no, third year. I did my
Mm.
internship at a library. It was an NGO, it was a football NGO, so I know a lot of information about football.
Okay.
So the 11 libraries, that's amazing.
It
Wow.
is. So the way they're structured, we have two community libraries, one in
Okay.
Likoni and one in Nyali.
Mm-hmm.
The Likoni one was very integral to like our foundation years
Yes.
because that is how we got entry to the community as well. Because members
Yes.
could come, access the library, and then that's how they get to learn about Hatua, our programs.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel like okay, there is need. As I mentioned earlier as well, 2,000 applicants every year. We can't support all of them. And we felt how
Yes.
best can we, at least make sure they have a decent room to study, they have the resources so that they can excel in their KCP exams and get scholarship, other scholarship apart from Matua. And that
Mm-hmm.
was the idea of like building libraries in our community. So two community libraries, one in Likoni and one in Nyali, with a capacity of 100 seats. And then the other nine are in schools. So we work with public primary schools, and they offer us a classroom, and then we stock it with books, stationery, and support staff to make sure that the library is accessible to students during the entire day. So that's how we have, nine libraries. But they do quite a number of work. Every year we record. Okay, last year we did have 520,000 visits across
Wow.
all our libraries. So these are students,
That's really
coming to use our
good.
facilities. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing about our library, it's not, the traditional library where kids, will come sit in a quiet place and study. We have a lot of like engagement activities. We have read aloud sessions. We have
Mhm.
book clubs. We have the 4K clubs, but the way
Yeah.
we do it, we read aloud program. We have themes that we set aside for we've selected, and we read aloud to kids. And for every theme that we read to the kids, they are required to do a project out of it. So we ended up with environment clubs in all schools because they did an environment program last term. They had to like do environment projects. So our libraries are very active. It's not the traditional libraries where people just sit and read. But yeah, for the two community libraries, we have section for adults. These
Mhm.
are could be university students who'd like to do their research. We have
Mhm.
computer rooms set in those libraries so they can come and do their research work. And even adults, like someone would like to come with a magazine also. They have those accessible as well.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, like we could go on and on because I'm also finding some really amazing gems that I didn't know about before. But what I will say is, as we kind of wrap this up, is Jasiri Network is proud to be partnering with Hatua Network, and as I mentioned, part of the proceeds from the summit are going to be donated to Hatua Network, and we're really
Awesome.
proud about giving back to the community. And also part of this journey with Hatua Network will be sharing more about Hatua Network to our community members, calling on our community members as well to donate. If you're not traveling home but you want to give back, Hatua Network is the place to do. And people can easily donate to Hatua Network on their website. Like any information you need is on their
Yeah.
website. You can donate straight on the website. And I look forward to kind of having a lot of you raising funds for Hatua, running marathons for Hatua, whatever charities you whatever charity initiatives you do. And yeah, I mean, it's been incredible having you, Peter, on board today. I know we could go on and maybe we should have you another time as well, but
I'll be happy to.
any final words before we close?
Final words. I can say you might feel like you're giving a little support or like you're giving something small, but
Mm,
trust me, the impact that it has on the person who receives it, it's immense. It's immense. Uh, from my own personal testimony, I've seen the kids that we identified, they were picked, just after primary school, and now they're adults, and the life they're living, it's a total transformation. And it's because of people like, Masila, or people like you who choose to, support. And, it could be in form of, mentor or like give advice, financial support, but any level of support goes along with in transforming someone's life. So I'll and the fulfillment is amazing. This is what I've been doing my entire life. I've never been employed anywhere else.
For the
And
last
I
18
find,
years.
yeah, I find it hard, and I love what I'm doing because
Yes.
it's very fulfilling. You're touching
Mm.
someone's life, you're actually changing someone's life.
You're contributing to the society.
Yeah,
You're making a difference. This is how, every time young kids growing up, you're like, oh, what do you want to do? I want to change the world. This is you changing your world because your world begins with you. It begins with your friends. It begins with your family. It begins with your society. It
correct.
begins with your, you know, city, country. Before you go to the whole world, like you have to
Yes.
start at home.
One
So
person at a time.
it's such a pleasure having you, Peter. It's a pleasure also having, Hatua Network on board. I'm super proud of the work that you're doing, and it's an honor. So yeah, I think that's it from us today. But thank you, Peter. You'll be seeing more of Peter around as well.
Yeah.
And any information you need, hatuanetwork.com. That's where you'll find it. And
Yep.
yeah, thank you, Peter, for coming on board.
Thank
And
you so much
speak to
for
you
having
soon.
me. Thank you so much for having me. One last thing,
Yes.
forgot to mention, we also launched our soft skills curriculum. So it's also on our website. For
Mm-hmm.
those who have teenage kids and they'd like to learn, those soft skills, please feel free to access it on our website. It's free of charge. And there's a lot of learning that they can do.
Amazing. Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much.
much. Okay.
Cheers.